Hi, my name is Jonathan Taylor. I am a Title IX advisor. And in this video, I'm going to tell you how to find a good Title IX advisor to assist you in a school misconduct proceeding. I'll do that by telling you the three things you should look for when choosing a Title IX advisor, and I'll address some other concerns. So let's say that you are a student in the United States and the school notifies you that you have been accused of some kind of gender or sexual based misconduct or violating their sexual misconduct policies or something similar to that. And in that case, you're probably accused of something very serious like sexual harassment, stalking, sexual assault, dating violence, that kind of thing. And if that's the case, you need help because there are serious risks involved with being found responsible, being found guilty for any of those things. The risks could be suspension, expulsion, denial of employment or professional licensing, loss of scholarships, which if you are dependent on those scholarships, that can effectively be an expulsion. But also things that just can't be restored with the stroke of a pen. Things like your reputation, your peace of mind, your relationships. You need help for all of these reasons because the risks are severe, but also just because the process is complicated and too often the process is unfair. Now, when you're first trying to figure out how to defend yourself, you will soon learn that there are a lot of unknowns regarding what the school can do and what you probably should do. One of the things that you should know, and the school should have told you at some point, is that you are entitled to be assisted by an advisor of your choice who may, but does not have to be, an attorney. That is a right provided by federal regulation in school Title IX grievance procedures. Now, that does mean that technically anyone could be your advisor. Could be your cousin, who you believe to be a pretty reasonable guy. Could be a trusted local attorney who specializes in a lot of things, but maybe not Title IX. Could be a professor at the school who has become your mentor and earned your trust, or could be a counselor or even a trusted leader in your religious community. Could be any of those people. But as someone who has worked in this area for 15 years, as of the making of this video, I will tell you that whoever you go with, these are the three things you need to look out for if you want the best chance of a positive outcome. And they need to meet all of them. If a single one of them is missing, keep looking because a poor choice of advisor, it's worse than throwing time or money away. It's risking potentially throwing your future away. So number one, and this is the most important thing to look for, they professionally specialize in Title IX. There's a lot under the hood, so I'm going to unpack that. By professionally, I mean several things. For example, their advisees are clients. Now, why is that important? Number one, it ensures that they have skin in the game. They stand to lose personally if they serve you poorly because you can always just walk away and take your business elsewhere. There is a quality control enforcement mechanism that is naturally built into that kind of relationship. By professional, I also mean that they have the qualities of a professional. They have excellent communication skills. They can objectively evaluate a situation. They're intelligent and so forth. By specializing in Title IX, I mean this isn't just a side gig for them where their main professional focus is somewhere else. On the contrary, they eat, sleep, and breathe Title IX. They study it as an area of constant professional development, that kind of thing. A good way to get an early sense of whether or not that advisor does specialize in Title IX is just go to their professional website and see if it says Title IX or something similar like student conduct matters. If it says everything but those things, keep looking. Now, you may be tempted to think if you go to, say, a criminal defense attorney's website that, well, it's a school proceeding, so it's a step down from the seriousness and the formality of a criminal proceeding. So how hard could it be for a criminal defense attorney who doesn't specialize in Title IX to be a Title IX advisor? And there may be more than one attorney, a criminal defense attorney, who will tell you as much. The problem is that there are many rights and options that are built into a court proceeding, both in criminal and civil litigation, that do not exist in a school Title IX proceeding. And some of the advice that works well for a civil or criminal proceeding has the opposite effect in a school Title IX proceeding. Title IX proceedings are their own world. You need someone who specializes in that world. So, number two, closely related to number one, they are experienced. Experienced means they didn't just start yesterday. Ideally, they'll have several years of experience. Now, I understand that this may be unfair to advisors who are just starting out. After all, everyone has to start somewhere. But at the end of the day, it is your future on the line. Title IX proceedings are complicated. They answer to many authorities: federal regulations, federal laws, state and federal court decisions, school policies, and last but certainly not least, the unspoken interests and preferences of school administrators. There are at least 20 different categories of tasks that a Title IX advisor can perform, and more depending on how you define those categories. Learning how to navigate all of that and effectively assert your client's rights at a moment's notice, that takes time. So go with someone who has experience. Number three, the third thing you should look for in a Title IX advisor should be obvious, but you can trust them. There are several ways that you can get a good sense of this. First of all, they don't have any conflicts of interest. For example, they aren't directly employed by the university, which would make it less likely for them to push back or push back as hard as they need to when they need to. Another way of getting a good sense of whether you can trust them is just observing how they communicate. Ask direct questions, expect direct answers. Sometimes the answer to a question will be, it depends. And that's fine. They aren't going to do a lot of advising before you actually hire them. Each case has its own set of facts and circumstances, only a few of which are apparent during an initial consultation. Now, that said, an effective advisor can still give you some sense of how or why it depends. If you are considering an attorney to be your advisor, ask that attorney who would be doing most of the work in your case and listen carefully to their response. Would it be that attorney? Or would it be someone else that the attorney oversees who may not be an attorney, may not even specialize in Title IX, that assists you in, say, preparing a response to an investigation report or cross-examining the other party and their witnesses? If you get the sense that the attorney would be farming your defense out to non-attorney, low-level firm administrators who do not specialize in Title IX matters, while just occasionally looking over their shoulder and reviewing their work, I recommend that you keep looking. Lastly, when it comes to finding someone who can trust you, don't ignore your gut. If something seems wrong, it probably is, even if you can't articulate exactly what it is. Let's talk about some other things. Let's talk about location concerns. This is a question I often get. You may be wondering if your advisor needs to be local. In nearly all cases, especially in higher education, participation in Title IX proceedings can be done remotely. Interviews and hearings are conducted by Zoom or WebEx or something similar. Other communication is done usually by email. It's usually only in lower education in cases that involve minors that the school may require meetings to be conducted on site in person. So if you're considering an advisor who is more remote and your case involves lower education and involves a minor, be sure to factor in the advisor's potential travel expenses into your budget. If you're a parent of that child and you're considering a more remote advisor, there's a good chance that you can just ask the Title IX coordinator if all the meetings can be done remotely. Now to wrap up, keep in mind that an advisor is not a guarantee of success. You will, of course, need to help them help you. But an experienced Title IX advisor who is fully on your side is irreplaceable and can radically improve your defense. Now, of course, in nearly all cases, a professional and independent Title IX advisor is going to require a fee. Virtually all professional advisors are expensive in the sense that it's a cost that you didn't anticipate. But there are some advisory services out there that are more affordable. We are one of them. And you can learn more about our advisory service on our website, link in the description below. There is the possibility that you can find an advisor for free somewhere. but those tend to come with significant drawbacks. Lack of specialization, less experience, conflicts of interest, those kind of things. Free is always a great benefit, but it doesn't compare well with the risk of losing scholarships, years of lost potential earnings due to suspensions and career setbacks, damaged reputations and relationships, things like that. There's a notorious Star Trek character in Deep Space Nine, and he had a saying: "Free advice is seldom cheap," and that certainly applies here as well. So if you have been accused, consider our Title IX advisory service. Make sure to read our guide on what to do if you've been wrongly accused of a Title IX violation. And as always, I hope you don't need us, but if you do, give us a call. Thank you guys. Have a good night.